Thanks for clicking on this video. It won't disappoint you, I promise. Today we'll talk about FaZe Clan. We'll investigate how FaZe scammed their investors, why their partners are overpaying huge sums, who actually owns the FaZe Clan, and why it's the biggest esports scam. My story begins in September, when I wanted to buy something fun, and I was researching and putting all my financial skills into finding the best stock that would make me a millionaire someday. And I found it. Found my treasure. I was close to quitting my job, buying a brand new Bugatti, and buying a private island when my order was fulfilled. I bought 71 FaZe Clan shares. I was holding the entire world in my hands, just with $888. The price jumped over $14 next day, and I felt it. I was getting rich, and I couldn't resist anymore. Now my shares are worth $32 combined, and I decided to dive deeper into this stock, explore it, and see how the business is working. FaZe Clan calls themselves as a professional esports organization headquartered in Los Angeles, California. They recently became publicly traded on Nasdaq, but failed, and now their stock is worth just 48 cents. They have 4 months to raise the value above $1, otherwise they will be delisted. So the drama begins. Let's check their annual report. I will explain the numbers as simply as possible, so please try to understand what's going wrong. If you find a mistake in the video, please let me know in the comments. Their first slide is their bullet points, which should be necessary for all of us. First of all, they reported a total reach of 527 million users. But look at this quote. Total reach measures the aggregate number of user accounts or fans that subscribe to or follow FaZe content across YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, including channels controlled by our celebrity talent. They use a completely absurd metric. They just summarize the number of player followers. So, if you follow all of their talents and players, they have 72 at the moment, they'll sell you to their sponsors as 250 fans. Moreover, they should have mentioned Facebook in their presentation because it also counts. So, for example, if you have 1 million followers on TikTok, 1 million on Instagram, 1 million on Twitch, 1 million on Twitter, and 1 million on Facebook, they'll show it as 5 million subscribers to their investors and sponsors. They have huge contracts with top world brands like McDonald's, Nike, and Porsche, which they are really proud of. But do these brands know for sure what they are buying? And is FaZe Clan actually a giant? Let's dive deeper into these numbers. I have created a document where I collected all the subscriber data for FaZe talents and players. Here we count Snoop Dogg, despite the fact that he left FaZe 2 days ago. He is on the list because I want to show you this data in the state it was shown to FaZe investors. To be honest, I found 463 million subscribers, not 527, but maybe they count guys in their Hall of Fame. So let's filter them according to the share of the media they have in FaZe Clan. Snoop Dogg was in the first place, so 34% of FaZe Clan is Snoop. Can you guess how many tweets does Snoop have about FaZe Clan or their sponsors? Let's check. So the answer is 0. 0 on Twitter, 0 on Instagram. We will not even mention his music channel, which has also been added to the giant FaZe portfolio. So Snoop Dogg is just a guy who was paid for the announcement and to be a part of FaZe, and they gave him a slot as a director for this service. The director who is not involved in the future of the organization. The director who left first. He is just a guy who burned money and didn't bring any value to the org, except for the fact that it was quite hype when he actually joined FaZe. If you had wanted to feel the same feeling, you would have bought a Snoop cameo just for $1,000. Now this offer is not available anymore. So the next one in our subscriber list is Rug. He is an ex-co-owner of FaZe. He is a guy who actually has subscribers and even has some content related to the FaZe sponsors. Here you can see McDonald's. Maybe it's a native advertisement, but also you can find here Mercedes and the Lamborghini, which is not an ambassador sign for Porsche, which is the partner of FaZe. The next position on the list is FaZe itself. They have a huge coverage and pretty nice views, and since we don't know the contract details between them and their partners, let's just skip it and leave for another video about brand partnerships. Now let's check another exciting example, FaZe Rain. Not a CSGO player Rain, but a content creator for FaZe. He has a Facebook page, The Dead One, which also counts for investors. His last post was 3 years ago, and before it he had been posting actively in 2016. The latest post has 6 reactions on it. It's funny that FaZe uses Facebook in their calculations and don't mention it in the presentation, and it's 10% of their current media assets, if we can say that it's an asset. The same case with FaZe Apex, who also has 150k subscribers that Facebook page. Facebook Temper, 164k, marked as dead. All of Maesta, 304k, 4 posts in 3 years. Tonic's profile is private or doesn't exist, another 103k. I have just shown you 1 million of dead subscribers, which can't be activated and shouldn't have been counted for sponsors and investors. And the last example is Nick Merciez, who represents the 3.4% of FaZe Clan subscribers base. Yesterday he streamed on Twitch for 17k viewers, but did he feature any of FaZe sponsors? The answer is no. So when you partner with FaZe, this is what you are getting, just an announcement and your logo on the website that is visited by 300k people per month, along with a YouTube header. That's it. The thing is, FaZe has been showing investors and sponsors some pretty unrealistic numbers. For example, they claim to have 527 million funds worldwide, but that number is just made up. It's not even the metrics that can be used. But there are 50-year-old boomers in other companies who buy into it because they don't really understand how the market works, and they have huge budgets for marketing. FaZe is marketed as a giant in the esports industry, but the reality is that they have a pretty simple business model. They take investors' money and divide it into two baskets: esports, like buying top players and teams, and gaming. For the gaming basket, they just buy up well-known people, often with dying channels, who have a lot of followers. They need to show growth, and to do that, they simply burn money. It's basically just buying people with followers to make it look like you're growing. So, while FaZe might look impressive on the surface, the reality is that their business model is not sustainable, and the brands that partner with them may not be getting the exposure they think they are. It's essential to be aware of these things when making investment or sponsorship decisions. Who owns the FaZe Clan? Well, there is a group of people called the Board of Directors who make decisions for the organization. The average age of the board members is 52, which some people might think is more than it should be to drive an esports car. Snoop Dogg was a non-employee director in FaZe, so theoretically he might have impacted FaZe decisions, even though he wasn't publicly a member of the org. So I don't think that the average FaZe fan wants his organization to be held by people who actually don't care about the product at all. The next interesting person on the board is Tamara Brandt, who is Chief Legal Officer in FaZe. So she sold 47k shares in December, which is $89k worth. Seems like she truly believes in the FaZe future. But who is responsible for the brand strategy? It should be a Chief Strategy Officer, right? So, welcome, K. Noah Henry. On his Twitter, you can find countless posts about NFTs, Web 3.0, Metaverse, and other stuff, which is often related to this comment pumping things. I am not an NFT enthusiast, and the mission of this video is just to show you facts, but I don't believe that people like K. Noah, who is responsible for the giant esports org, which stocks made minus 94% during the year, whose company has a Nasdaq warning of being delisted, could make something prospective and build our future. So, as I mentioned earlier, the general FaZe strategy is just buying people with huge subscriber numbers, buying some esports rosters, and then acting as an IPO giant in the industry and selling the Zoomers traffic to the boomers who acknowledge how the market actually works. But who are you and what have you done in your life, YouTuber with 5 subscribers and memes editing, to make those summaries? Well, let's see what FaZe officially says about their strategy for 2023 in their investors presentation. Whoa, but that's exactly what they say. So they will acquire new talents, invest in esports to get some trophies, and then sell them to brands. How much should we pay for this strategy? It's kinda genius, isn't it? Whoa, this service costs just $3 million annually, but it's okay, since it was in 2021. FaZe wasn't a public company, and it's none of my business. But now the company is publicly traded, I have those shares and the right to discuss it. But how can we discuss salary and decisions if we still need to discuss their $70 million revenue? So they really had $70 million in revenue in 2022. However, the cost of revenues was $55 million, but 15 million of gross profit sounds great, doesn't it? No. If we check their expenses section, we see that they lost $168 million past year. Wait, what? So they just buy YouTubers, having their esports org with multiple trophies, and they lost $168 million the year they became public? So what's even the sense of doing it or investing in it? Actually, they paid a debt which was $150 million, and I will not count this debt because to make money you need to spend money, and when you take a debt you need to pay it, right? But even without the debt, they lost $53 million, which is understandable if you run a tech company, IT product, or producing cars, for example. Like, you need engineers, you need technologies, you have to buy factories and stuff. So, for example, when a company like Tesla was not profitable, it was understandable. This is also understandable for IT giants. Because of servers, data, and engineers, you can be profitable during the first years. But here we have an overpriced company which sells dumb metrics to their partners and investors, and the company that doesn't have any assets. So, if content creators leave a company tomorrow, they don't have anything, just 111k views on their channels with no ecosystem, technology, or impact. They just pay huge salaries, huge contracts, and that's all. So, why am I calling it a scam? Because their financial model sucks. It can't be profitable. It's been created just to generate money for the owners and for the content creators. Meanwhile, the content creators are not the FaZe Clan assets, so they just rent people with an audience, call them friends, and sell the meaningless stats to the companies who think that FaZe is an esports giant full of zoomers. Sure, McDonald's and Porsche are examples of brands which don't sell the product directly. It's more about PR and promo. However, McDonald's is in the S&P 500 list, and I have ETFs with the McDonald's stock. And as an individual investor, even with a small portfolio, I don't want the food company to spend money on this overpriced traffic which not generate value. Moreover, they have PR risks since FaZe Clan is a money-burning machine, where the top founders and chairmen are selling their stocks, which lost 94% this year. Snoop Dogg, who was the most famous guy and represented 34% of the subscriber base of the FaZe Clan, has left the company. I am confident that they will not find a way to stabilize themselves and will slowly die, burning more money. Maybe they'll show growth next year, because it's quite cheap to buy followers. Moreover, maybe they'll find some people who have huge marketing budgets and don't know how esports works. They'll give additional profit to FaZe, and they may lose not $53 million, but let's say $48 million next year. If you understand the market, you know that in Tier 1 esports gaming organizations, salaries are between 200k and 1 million annually per player, so it means that the esports is cheap. Moreover, these guys are able to generate income for the brand. Here is how much money did players make for FaZe. Notice that CSGO is a game where the prize pool of the major is $1 million. However, Valve announced that they paid $70 million in revenue for the major team players past year. So the org itself can be profitable if it has enough achievements and sponsorship deals. We also have an example in the industry when the organization was created by its players, Nigma, OG, Astralis, etc. So players can hire partnership managers to find the best deals for the org, and then pay dividends for themselves, remaining profitable and monetizing their media assets. On the other hand, we have FaZe, which is just an agent for its players. Agent who doesn't generate the money. 2 years ago, CoffeeZilla made a video about ex-FaZe players. They were kicked after the video from the org. The story was called Save the Kids Project, and it was about the scam crypto tokens. FaZe players were under the org, and they promoted it, selling all the tokens right after the pump. The org apologized and kicked the players, but it happened 2 months after the chief strategy officer was hired. So now tell me, what's actually the difference between pumping a token and then sell it immediately, taking money from the investor pockets, and IPO, where we have official shares instead of tokens? They took the money from investors' pockets, burned it investing in guys who don't promote an org or its sponsors, and then even the co-owners sold the shares just 3 months after the sale went public. What's the difference? FaZe had 214k users on site in February, claiming that their fan base is actually 527 million users. 214k, including investors and random shop visitors. Yes, they accumulated a significant amount of traffic in their social networks. We can easily call them media, since the engagement is really good, and is above average esports team. However, is it a $100 million IPO Nasdaq product? I don't think so. And when I see their ticker in my portfolio, I am 100% sure that I was scammed. That $888 I mentioned at the start of the video is just a fun investment for me. So I paid for the fun, experience and knowledge. I wouldn't have made this video for you guys if I hadn't lost this money. So I can summarize that they just took millions of dollars from the investors' pockets, gave it to YouTubers and streamers to not even mention their brand and partner products, and we ended up with minus 94%. And I insist that it wasn't a bad random decision or something related to unluck, it was a purposeful waste of money. This is what FaZe has been doing for years. This is what Nasdaq should investigate. This is an information on which all the brokers where FaZe Clan is listed should be provided to all the customers. And these are stats that everyone who will consider a partnership with FaZe as a good opportunity for their business should be taken into account. And this is a video you should like and share with friends. On the channel you should subscribe to. Thanks for watching, see you in the second part.